Now, the South African Social Security Agency has been experiencing problems in paying beneficiaries, and now it says it's stabilized the system and paid out about 746 million rand of the 1 billion rand for grant payments. SASSA has pointed fingers at tech giant Net1. Net1 administers grant repayments through its subsidiary Cash Paymasters and have been accused of deceiving beneficiaries for financial gain. Joining me to set the record straight or to give us their side of the story is Herman Kotze, his CEO of Net1. Herman, you listened to my intro. Please reply.
Sure. I think just to put the payment of grants into context, the numbers you mentioned, of course, the 1 billion rand, that's the payment portion allocated to the post office for the last payment cycle.
Right.
There's a total of 11 billion rand that has to be paid out every month in social grants. Net1 through CPS is still responsible for about 80% of those payments. And so during the July payment cycle, we made those payments without interruption and without any issues, so completely separate from what was experienced in the post office environment.
Sure. You're making a statement.
So I believe that the thrust of the attack on us at the moment is that we are preventing the post office from executing their duties of doing the card swaps as they try to migrate most of the beneficiaries across to the post office card system.
Right.
So these are allegations that we obviously surprised that they've come to the fore. We understand that there were certain difficulties in the very early days at our pay points where post office staff members arrived unannounced and without prior notification. These are pay points where we have to have a secure environment. There's a lot of cash. Contractually, we are bound to ensure the safety of beneficiaries and our staff members.
Yeah.
And so without prior notification, there were instances where the post office staff members were not allowed.
Right.
That's been rectified. So this happened in May. We immediately sorted it out with SASSA in terms of understanding where and when these people would arrive. And so it really hasn't been an issue for us since the month of May. I think the key issue here is also to understand that the post office card isn't a mandatory replacement for the current SASSA card.
Right.
SASSA themselves have asked all the banks in South Africa to participate and to make low-cost bank accounts available to the grant recipients.
Right.
And through one of our other subsidiaries, that's exactly what we've been doing. We started that process 2 years ago almost, and so we've got 3 million clients today who have Easy Pay Everywhere cards, and we continue to market and sell that product to them.
Sure.
Beneficiaries have an absolute choice in terms of how they want to be paid and by whom.
Yeah.
And we believe that we can play a significant role in that space.
Yeah. So the question that many people have been asking is, surely there ought to have been a proper handover where the details of what you're talking about would have been ironed out. So you know when post office people are coming and vice versa.
I agree.
Was that done?
That wasn't done. So we've written multiple letters. We've asked for a phase-in, phase-out plan since last year when we knew that the contract was going to come to an end. Our contract ends at the end of September. I need to make that very clear because some of the other allegations...
For that 80% of the grants that are paid
for any payments on behalf of SASSA.
Sure.
So in 80 days from now, we are out of the contract. It finishes. We met with the minister 2 weeks ago, made it clear to her that our contract will end, and she made it clear to us that she intends for our contract to end at that point in time. So from our perspective, we are readying our exit out of the contract. We've asked for a detailed phase-in, phase-out plan over the last 6 months, and unfortunately we haven't received anything to the level of detail that would be required in our view to ensure that the handover didn't happen without incident.
You raised these issues with the minister?
We did, yes.
And her response?
So I think the minister, obviously coming in new as the new Minister of Social Development, has a lot of issues to get her mind around, and she undertook to investigate those and allowed us to also state our side of the story.
Sure. What's your sense then in terms of what will happen 80 days from now, as you say?
Well, the post office is stepping up to the plate. They are converting as many people as they can to the post office card. In 80 days from now, the biggest issue in my mind is going to be the payment of people at pay points.
Right.
There are roughly 1.6 million people who still get paid in remote areas at pay points using mobile cash payment technology. So we have ATMs at the back of vehicles that we take out to service them.
Sure.
And so the post office in the next 2.5 months need to prepare themselves to take over that responsibility and to also obviously manage the volume of additional cards that they will be issuing. They have about 1 million out, 1.8 million according to their release yesterday.
Yeah.
And so over the next 80 days, they obviously will scale that up significantly, and they need to make sure that their systems can handle the volume.
And yet you're not meeting them, they're not talking to you, from what you say.
No, so our contract ends and we will exit.
Yeah, if I had more time, I would have wanted to know what you're going to do next, because you're losing a large chunk of your income stream, right?
We are. Obviously, the SASSA income stream has been a reliable one for the last 6.5 years. But Net1 is a major group of companies, and we've got lots of other things to focus on.